Hey guys, Sleepy here, and welcome to a brand new discussion video. I got a great topic for us to discuss today. You guys know I would love for you to participate, so feel free to leave a comment down below. I do love reading and replying to each of your guys' comments, so feel free to leave your comments there and share your thoughts today, talking about today's discussion topic. If this is one of those topics you'd rather film a video response for, that would be great as well. I do love checking out your guys' video responses, and I want to thank everyone who has taken time over the years to film video responses to my various videos. I really appreciate it, my friends. I just ask you, let me know about it so I don't miss your video response. I'm not always alerted by YouTube, and I would hate to miss it. That way I can check it out, and I'll leave a comment on your video response, as well as I will post a link to your video response as a comment here so other people can check it out as well. I do appreciate everyone who participates every time I have a discussion video. Now, today's topic is one that relates to myself and to other people that I know as well, and I thought it'd be a great topic to talk about, and that is overcoming obstacles and barriers to enjoying your game collection. So, a lot of times, we love having these big game collections, we love buying them, love collecting them, but we run into a lot of obstacles and barriers when it comes to actually playing and enjoying our collection. The whole point of collecting video games is meant to actually, hopefully you want to play them at some point. And so that's what today's topic is about, finding ways to able to play games in our collection so we're able to enjoy the collection we have, because as much as it looks fun and nice to show on a shelf and look pretty there, it's even more fun to actually play them. And this is a topic and something that I've struggled with myself over the years, and it's what led me to my weekly gaming playlist series back in 2019. So that's what today's topic is: overcoming obstacles and barriers to enjoying your video game collection. So I would always, the first stuff would start off, which I got my little note papers here just to help me stay on topic and not get off topic too much. Just some little bullet points and stuff. But the first thing I would say, just ask yourself is, do you plan to ever play these games that you're buying and adding to your collection, or that you already have in your collection? Do you realistically see you playing at least some of them? Obviously, when you have a massive collection like myself with over 5,000 games, the chances of you ever being able to play and complete every single one of them is very difficult and very slim. So you just have to be realistic. Like, I understand I'm not going to be able to ever play every single game that I own, but I can play a majority of them, and I just love being able to have so many options of games to play that I can at any point take out, pop in my console and play right now. So I do love having that. But you really have to ask yourself right here, why you're collecting in the first place. Are you collecting just because it's fun to go out and buy stuff? Or are you buying these games because you actually want to play them? I have been in both camps when it comes to that. I've been in the whole collecting, because I did that with a full set collecting. So I bought games I knew I was never going to play, but I wanted to have them for the set. And then I started getting into variant collecting, and that's where I started getting into way too much of the collecting aspect and not enough into the actually playing the games. And that's where I started working on paring down my collection and sticking to wanting to have games that I actually want to play, instead of just having games that are shelf fillers, shelf pieces, trophies that just sit on the shelf to look pretty. And so I had to look at myself and had to make some changes to my collection, and that was some of the stuff I did. So you do want to ask yourself that very beginning, do you plan to play any of these games? And if you do, then there's some steps you can take, is like what I did. So then you want to identify how much free time you have each week that you can devote to fun stuff, hobbies, gaming, whatever it is. I'm not talking about, looking for ways to cut out important things. Like, obviously we have to work. Obviously we have obligations, to families, if we're married or not, so I'm not talking about like, oh, well, it's Thursdays is the wife's date night. Well, we'll just cut that out and we'll replace it with the gaming. I'm not talking about, getting rid of important things. Obviously, there's those kind of obstacles that we just can't get over easily. And so I'm not saying get rid of that stuff, but I'm saying looking at where you might have free time yourself. Like, do you have a day off, and what do you do in that day off? Are you spending it game hunting? Are you spending it watching movies on TV? Are you spending it on going out to bars and clubs and stuff? You got to look for where areas where you have free time to yourself that you can then dedicate to gaming, and find areas where you can cut in from that, because not everybody's going to have the same amount of free time. Some of us might only have a few minutes, an hour or two here and there, but you want to look for areas in your life where you can make some cuts to add in some time for gaming. And one that I had was, I was looking for, like, how much time was I spending on game hunting. That was a big one for me. As I, I might have a day off or 2 days off, and I was looking at where I could make cuts. And one of the big things I found was I was just doing so much game hunting, whether I was browsing online on eBay or Facebook marketplaces, or looking up for yard sales to go to, going out to game stores and stuff. I had to look at, like, how much time was I spending game hunting. And for me, it was actually quite a bit. I was going out game hunting a lot, hanging out with friends and stuff, going out game hunting, and I was, going out 6 hours a day. How many hours a week was I able to cut? And I was able to cut out like 10 hours a week or more of game hunting. And so you have to look, how much time are you spending game hunting out there, buying these games. You just keep adding them to your collection, and you keep saying, I'll play them tomorrow, but, we only live so long, we only have so much time, and eventually you're going to run out of tomorrows. So for me, a big one was looking for areas to cut, and one of the big ones was, how much time I was devoting to game hunting. I just was keep buying and buying and buying, and I could have used that time to actually play games. You spending 5 hours this week game hunting, going to yard sales, going to the game stores, going online. Right there's an area you could cut for yourself and replace that with actually playing the games that you already own. And which is what I started doing in 2019, and it's why I created my weekly gaming playlist series that I release on Fridays and shared with you guys the games I'm playing each week. It was a great motivation for me to play more games and enjoy them in my collection. So that was an area that I looked to cut. How much time are you spending on YouTube watching gaming videos, watching people like my channel or other people's channels, watching reviews, gameplays, let's plays, how much time are you actually spending on YouTube itself? Maybe you're a YouTube content creator yourself, you have your own channel, how much time are you spending creating videos instead of playing the games in your collection? So maybe, you can cut down on the amount of time you spend on YouTube, and you devote some of that time to actually playing the games in your collection. Because there was sometimes, I was on YouTube for hours and just watching video after video after video, and it's like, I could take some of this time that I'm watching videos about games and actually play the games myself. I do love YouTube. I do love making videos here on YouTube. I love interacting with you guys, but everything is great in moderation. Sometimes you can do too much of it, and so maybe you can cut some of your time off of that you're spending on YouTube. Another thing is, how much time are you spending on other social media platforms, Facebook and gaming groups, discussing stuff on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you're at. How much time are you spending on these social media apps, devouring gaming content? How much time are you spending on there, talking about games, looking up videos of games, buying games on there, selling games, whatever it is, perhaps you could cut out some of that social media time and devote that to your time for gaming, and you might be able to get a few hours there. You might not realize how much time you actually spend in these social media platforms, because they're very addicting. And it can get addicting to be on there, and it's fun to chat with people and check out all this cool stuff and talk with people who are like-minded like you. But you can really kill hours and hours through social media platforms. So you might be able to cut some of that down and make time for your gaming. How much time are you on your phone? Because a lot of people these days do spend a lot of time on their smartphones, whether you're just scrolling through things, playing games on there, watching movies on it. Again, how much time are you playing on your phone that you might be able to devote some of that time? Maybe, you spend an hour every night on the phone before you go to bed. Maybe you could pop in a nice little game and play that for that hour instead of playing on your phones, because as a society, we are pretty addicted to our smartphones. They are very, very addicting devices. They give that instant gratification. They get that dopamine hits in you. They are very, very addictive and they're very lucrative to our minds. You know, you just really love them, and you'll see a lot of people everywhere you go are just glued to their phones and can't ever put them down. So you might ask yourself, how much time are you playing on your phone? Because I myself was on the phone a lot on YouTube apps and playing some little indie type of game stuff on there. You're just basically killing time on the phone where I could have taken that time to play games. And so I've had to cut down and limit myself how much I'm playing on the phone myself, because, you know, everything with moderation, you know, you can get addicted to being on your phone. So you might be able to make a cut there, which is what I did. Are you able to include your partner? Are you married? You have a husband, a wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever? You know, are you able to maybe include your spouse, your partner, whoever in your life in your gaming? You know, maybe you can have them join you and you can game with them, so you can spend some time with them and game with them. And obviously not everybody's partner is into gaming and stuff, so like I do play some games with my wife, but she's not a huge gamer, but she likes her Sims and stuff. But sometimes, you know, we've played the Mario Party games together, we played Mario Kart, we played a few other trivia games. I know she loves her dancing games, things like that, rock bands and stuff. So maybe you can find games that you could play with your partner. Or if you, let's say you have kids, you know, maybe you can find some games that you want to play with your kids. Like my son used to like playing games, so I would spend time gaming with him, and we played the Mario titles and we played the Mario parties and stuff. And sometimes our entire family, so my son, my wife, and I, the three of us, would play like Mario Party and trivia games, Monopoly on the Xbox, you know, things like that. Maybe you can find games you can play with your family, so you can do some gaming, but you can include your family with you, so you're not just gaming alone, and you're getting to spend some quality time with your family and have fun playing some games and stuff. Maybe you can include them, and that's what I did in the past. Now my son, he plays some games, but he's really not big into gaming like he was when he was younger. He's kind of grown out of the gaming. He's not like me, a big gamer. So he still plays them occasionally, but he's not really into them like he used to be. And same with my wife. She's more into her Sims and stuff, and occasionally he'll play a game with me. But maybe your situation might be different, and you can find your family and game with them. Another thing too is could you maybe include your friends into your gaming? Maybe have a gaming night, have a couple buddies over, and you guys can spend a few hours gaming. You know, I mean, it's a great way. I've done that myself. You guys had heard me talk about in the past, I used to have my buddy Grant come over on Monday nights, and we'd play different games like Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong 64 and the Mario games. You know, we would pick a game, and then him and I would work on beating it for a few weeks. You know, it was really fun having those gaming nights. Sometimes we'd go out to the arcade bars. Maybe you guys have an arcade bar in your area, so you can go out with your family and friends. You can eat and drink and play the games they have there. That way you can get in some gaming time while you're out and about, or just, you know, having some fun time with your friends. You know, you might be able to schedule some time like that, get some gaming in while you hang out with your friends. You know, you want to hang out with your buddies, but hey, why don't you come over and we'll play Mario Party or something. So, you know, maybe you can include your friends in your gaming there to get you some more time for gaming. I know some of us have this trouble, is finding a game to actually play, which can be a huge challenge at times for people when they have a huge variety. And you look at my wall and be like, Jesus, where the hell do I start on it? Where do I pick a game to play? Like, fuck, there's like 8 million things here to choose from now. How the hell am I going to pick it? And so then you have to ask yourself, you know, what kind of games do you enjoy playing? You know, do you enjoy those super long, open world, hundreds of hours open world action RPGs and stuff? Like, I got a couple examples of that. So, like, you know, do you like games like Yakuza 0, which you could probably put 50 or 100 hours into this if you wanted to do absolutely everything in the game? Do you like things like Red Dead Redemption? Here's the Game of the Year edition, has all the DLC and expansion packs and stuff on it. That's another game that's going to take you 50 to 100 hours if you want to beat everything. You know, do you like things like The Witcher? Do you like things like the Elder Scrolls, the Fallout games? I mean, those games can be almost endless with how much stuff they have, and then all the DLC they add to it. So you have to decide, you know, what kind of games do you guys like playing? Do you like playing more like middle of the ground games, like kind of like a Vanquish or something? You know, these kind of first-person shooters, third-person shooters, story games that maybe will give you, say, like a 5 to 10 to 15 hour experience. And then there's some, maybe you'd rather play even smaller games, so go back to older ones like NES, like this new Ghostbusters 2 game that you could probably beat in like an hour or less. Play the old Super Mario Brothers game, maybe play a racing game. So you really have to decide what kind of games you really enjoy playing and the kind of genres you like. Do you like racing games? Do you like sports games? Do you like action-adventure games, first-person shooters, horror? Identify the genres that you really enjoy playing, and then that'll help you being able to determine how much time you can set aside, because, you only have 2 hours a week for an entire year. That doesn't really give you too many hours to play Red Dead Redemption, a game that's going to take a lot of time. So you might not want to play this one and maybe pick a game that is shorter. That's one you can pop in and play. Like if you like sports games, and you could pop in an old hockey game or something, play a match or something, a basketball game, and you could get a game in and out in like 10, 20, 30 minutes or something, have fun. Same thing with a racing game. You can pop in a racing game, play a few races, and you're done. First-person shooter, you can play through part of the story this day, beat a chapter or two, and then the next day you can go to the next chapter, So you can look for ways of different games you can play in the genres, but you have to determine the kind of games you like in the first place to help you narrow down the games you want to play and how much time you have. Where lately I've been playing a lot of the shorter experiences like this Vanquish here, and it's been wonderful for me because these games don't take as long to beat as those Witcher 3s do and the Fallouts and stuff. And so I've been having a lot of fun playing these smaller experience games. So you want to be able to figure out what kind of genre first you like and the kind of length of the games you want to play. And you might want to go to shorter games. That's why a lot of people are drawn to the retro games, because a lot of the older games from the past, like NES and Super Nintendo, Genesis, that kind of stuff, were made to be shorter games. There are some RPGs on there that are long, but a lot of games were meant for shorter experiences. You can get even a shorter experience if you go to like arcade games and stuff, the side-scrolling beat 'em like the Ninja Turtles and stuff. Those are like games you play in a half hour or less. So you might want to find that those are the kind of games based on the time you have for gaming. Let's see. Now that'll move us on to a way that you could do. Let's say you're having really difficulty choosing a console to play from. So what I would suggest is there's this dice method that a buddy of mine talked about that he did, and I even tried it for a little bit, where write down 6 consoles that you love. Just pick 6 of them from your collection, depending on how big your collection is, and write that down, like Xbox, PlayStation 2, regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PSP, Xbox 360, whatever it is, those 6. Then you can roll a dice, and whatever the number, let's say you roll a 3, and 3 was Xbox 360. Now, okay, I'm going to play a game from Xbox 360 console. Then have another list and pick top 6 games that you wanted to play, depending on, again, the length of the game. Do you want a bunch of long games, a bunch of short games? Write those down as a 6 list. Roll the dice again, and whatever number you land on, that's the game you'll play. So if it was like number 5 and it was Vanquish, so the first time you rolled the dice, you found Xbox 360 was a console. Okay, now you have the console. Now you're going to go to the list of games. You roll the dice. Okay, to pick Vanquish, and now you can play Vanquish. So that does work sometimes. I've done it myself with a list of games that I wanted to play for my backlog. Like these are all games I want to play. I got them written out by 6 different consoles with 6 games for each of those consoles. Rolled the dice, and I was able to find games that way. So you might be able to do something like that as well. Try that dice method to do it. There's online wheel boards you can create yourself that people do for contests and stuff. You can type in the names, and there's some free ones you can get, and it'll spin around and it'll land on a game title, and you can do stuff like that. So maybe you might like to add the aspect in of a little bit of gambling for yourself with like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to play this week. We're going to roll the dice and see. That might work for you. It can be kind of fun too and exciting because you never know what you're going to land on and play next. Just make sure you put games you actually want to play in the list. Don't want to put something boring like Barbie Horse Adventures that you don't enjoy. Only put the games on that list you actually want to play and experience. And then too, as we get older, how much attention span do you have? How is your attention span? Do you have a lot of fun playing gaming, or do you get kind of bored with it after a little while? So that's where you might want to look at playing the shorter games if you don't have a huge attention span. And our attention spans will change as we get older and fluctuate based on stuff going on in our lives. But you can look at that, like, where can I make some cuts? And, do I have the attention span to play a game like Red Dead Redemption here? Or do I have an attention span better that would be suited by playing a game like New Ghostbusters 2 for the regular Nintendo? You have to figure that out for yourself. I can't answer that question. You can only answer that question for yourself. So then, you got those little topics there. Then these are just some, ways to get some time for your gaming, like cut out game hunting completely for a while. Do you need to go out every week and keep buying and adding more games to your collection? Now, I know I've had some buddies here, that are in different stages in their life. They have kids, and they're like, well, I can't really, like I talked about, I had one guy I worked with here locally. This is a couple years ago now, but worked with the dude. He had kids, really cool guy. But he always talked about how he just never had time because he had young kids, and he kept saying he was going to play later. But he was kept buying these games. And so you're like, let's say depending on where you're at, like if you're like him, you're in your late 30s, your kids are young. If you're going to wait 10 years, now you're in your 40s. Or like he was saying, maybe I'll wait till my kids completely move out of the house. Maybe they might not move out for 20 years. So you got to think, you're buying and acquiring games now for 20 years. Once your kids move out, now you're going to start playing them. Now you're in your 60s. Are you realistically going to have the time to play 20 years worth of buying games plus what you already had in your collection? So you might want to cut out for a few years. Do you need to keep going out and buying video games and keep adding them to your collection if you can't have the time to actually play and enjoy them, unless you're just collecting because you want to just collect? I know there are some people who do just collect. They really barely ever play. They just love the fun of collecting and stuff. But again, that has its own challenges, financial and other things, and space, that kind of thing. You really have to decide, do I need to keep collecting? Am I addicted to this, going out and game hunting? Am I addicted to the social media and sharing it? You got to look at that. Can I make a cut by not going game hunting for a while? How long can I go without game hunting? That's how you can really tell if you're addicted. Like, can I not game hunt? Can I not go on eBay and Facebook and buy games? Can I go a week? Can I go a month? Can I go 6 months? The answer to that will determine whether you find yourself addicted or not. And you may have to, self-reflect, seek some help, maybe professionally, about your addiction to, if you can't stop buying games and just keep buying them because other people do. At the end of the day, you should be buying the games that you want for yourself, and only for yourself, not for others. No need to be endlessly collecting forever. That's why I talked about how I'm getting closer to the end of my collecting journey. Talked about, cutting down on watching videos on YouTube and being on social media, discussing in groups and Twitter and that stuff. That's a great way you can cut down on that. You can find a lot of time that way when you cut down on your YouTube and your social media stuff, because we do consume a lot of it. Cut down spending time on your phone, just fucking around on there, just browsing, searching through Instagram, whatever. That can kind of tie to the last point, just finding ways to make cuts. Maybe you can cut down on how much time you spend on your phone, because we do spend a lot of time on our phones. And you'd be surprised how much time actually is there. I have a little app on my phone, this little buddy thing that I have a Samsung phone that has on there, and it does like a health app, and it says, you spent 5 hours more than last week, and here's what you did on it, and here's what you spent less. You can turn those things on or off, but they're actually pretty helpful and really insightful when you read it, and you're like, Jesus, I spent, 30 hours on YouTube this week. Hey, maybe I could make cuts there. So these phones do have those cool little features like that, which it keeps track of the stuff that you do, and you might be able to make cuts and stuff even on your phone by cutting down on your phone usage. Have a family gaming night. Game with your wife, your husband, girlfriend, fiance, whatever, your kids. Incorporate them into your gaming so that you can still play games, but you can also spend time with them, and it can be some great stuff. I had fun nights playing Mario Party with my wife and son, and playing racing games, just playing games with my son. Just the two of us were playing the Mario games. We beat the Super Mario Brothers for the Wii, that one that came in the red case. That was a really fun game that we played and beat together, and we beat several other Mario games together. So maybe you can incorporate your family into it. have a friend gaming night. Have your buddies over and play some games, have some beer, get pizza, have fun with it. You want to hang out with your buddies, but if they're into games too, have a gaming night. They can be amazing. Maybe even go out to an arcade bar and play some games at the arcade and play the skee balls and pinball and stuff like that. You can have a lot of fun, even bringing your family along. Have a date night with it if you want. Identify the console that you really love and try to keep your focus on maybe just one or two consoles, or try the dice method that I recommended to you guys, that being a great way for you to help narrow down your selection. Identify the game genres that you love the most and stick to those. So if you're not into RPGs, maybe stay away from those. Maybe you're into sports games, you're into racing games or puzzle games, pick those kind of games to play over the other ones that you're not as interested in. Just write down a list of games that you want to play on that console that you love. Let's say, like right now, I've been on Xbox 360, so I've been going through a list I have of Xbox 360 games that I want to play, and I've just been chewing away at that list. But again, you could try the dice method for that. Take the time to tackle that game list and focus on those games only, and worry about other games later until you beat those. Maybe play shorter experiences like the NES, the Super Nintendo, Genesis, some early PS1 games. Maybe play older games that weren't as long in length. You don't have to play these massive 200-hour, 300-hour experiences. Maybe you can play a game that's a 5-hour experience, 10-hour experience. Would you rather play 10-hour experiences or one 100-hour experience? And you have to ask yourself that. Me, lately, I've been wanting to play a lot more variety of games that are shorter, so that's what I've been doing. Let's see. Now we're going to the next one. You might have to wait a little while to game, depending on how much time you have or don't have for free time. So maybe you might want to take a break completely from gaming. Don't do anything with watching videos. Don't do anything with game hunting, playing, whatever. Just take a little break for a few months or a year or something to recollect yourself, especially if your attention span is really low and you're finding yourself not really enjoying it. Maybe just take a break from the hobby. This should be a fun hobby. Shouldn't become a job or a chore or whatever. You might want to just take a little break. I know it kind of is different by saying here's an obstacle, saying to get over from playing games, but sometimes maybe you just need to take a break from it completely and not consume anything dealing with gaming. I've done that myself. I did that in 2020 after I had COVID. I just took a little break from gaming, and it was great to do that. We're all at different points in our lives with our ages, whether we're still living at home with our parents in school, we're in college, or we're graduating from college, we have a family of our own, or we're a lot older and our family's moved out. It depends on where you are in your life. So we all are different ages too, and we also have only so much more of our life left. Like I'm 39, my wife's in her 40s. My son was born when I was in my 20s. My wife was a lot younger, and so he's going to be 20 this year. So he's going to be 21 when I'm 40. So he's going to be moving out in the next few years. So eventually it's just going to be my wife and I'm going to have more time for just my wife and more time for myself for gaming. But if let's say you're 39 or 40 and your kids are just 2 or 3, obviously you're not going to be in that same part of the life that I am, because your kids aren't going to be around till you're probably in your 60s. So then that gives you even less time to devote to gaming when you get older. Do you plan to play a bunch of games? I know a lot of people you hear will tell you like, oh, I'm going to game like crazy when I retire, but are you going to retire at 65 or 70? How many years do you expect to live? Most people are going to like 10, 15, maybe 20 years, so you only have that much time to game. And as we get older, our eye and hand coordination get worse. It's not like they get better, so we're going to become worse at the games we play. And so you have to be realistic about your collection and your gaming. Are you going to have the time to play all this stuff? So then again, that comes back to why do you want to keep adding and buying more to it if you're not going to have the time to even play it? So maybe you want to just focus on what you already have and get rid of the game collecting part, or cut down on a lot of it. Maybe try emulation too as a way, get a Wii modded. Like I have a modded Wii that has regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo. It's got Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. It's got Game Gear, Sega Genesis, Sega Master System games on there. It's got a couple Nintendo 64 games. It's got some arcade games. There's all kinds of different things. You can get a Raspberry Pi. You can get your PC. You can get those portable devices. There's so many things out there where you could get emulation, and you can play a whole bunch of games, a bunch of smaller games, some longer games, and you can play them completely free if you have, the modded Wii, whatever device, and you don't even have to worry about buying games. You can play them on there. So maybe emulation might be a great way for you to play some quick games and check them out. It'll cut down on needing to buy them. And then another thing too, if you're having trouble figuring out games to play, maybe you can ask your friends, ask some buddies and stuff, suggestions of games they might enjoy. That's why I created my weekly gaming playlist series for you guys. I talk about the game, show you guys some gameplay, and talk about why I love playing it, and then give you guys some ideas of games you can play. I've got over 200 episodes in that series. I think I have like 230 as of this video. 230 weeks of me playing different games and sharing them with you guys. So, maybe ask some people for some advice on games they might recommend, do a little bit of research, and then maybe play some of those games. But that's the kind of stuff that I did. I had to identify some areas in my life where I can make cuts in my free time. Like I said, I'm not talking about cutting out importance. I'm not saying, oh, well, we'll just stop working and play games. No. I'm not saying, oh, well, I'm not going to spend time with my kids. I'm not going to spend time with my wife. Let's get rid of date night and family night and replace it with gaming. I'm not saying that. I'm saying look at areas in your free time that is just fun stuff that you have, depending on, we each have our own amounts. Some are more, some are less, depending on your part of you are in life, where you're at in life. Make cuts there and incorporate that where you can make time for your gaming. So that's my thoughts, guys. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this topic, of overcoming obstacles and barriers to enjoying your collection. What are some tips you guys have? What are some areas you had to cut in your life? What's your situation? Would love to hear from you guys, so feel free to leave a comment sharing your thoughts. If you guys would like to film a video response, I would love to check it out. I always ask, just let me know about it so I can check it out. I hate to miss it. That way I'll watch it, and then I'll post a link for other people to check out your video response as a link. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and sleep it. Shall see you next time. Jesus.